everybody, it's Gypsy. Um, Today I wanted to talk about, well, my experience, my journey, and my recovery from chronic illnesses. I can't remember what even prompted this. I thought of it this morning. I had a, I'll be 58 this Thursday, November 3rd. When I was 44, I had a stroke in my right occipital lobe. And they had told me I would be left with a bit of a blind spot, which is true. Um, but they said my life would get back to normal. Well, that didn't happen. After you have a stroke, you suffer fatigue. Usually dissipates around 6 months afterwards. Mine never did. It just progressively got worse. Finally, in 2013, I was diagnosed with CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome. The doctor, when I asked him how long it would be, how long I would have to deal with this, he estimated 7 to 10 years. I was in 2013. Now, what happened was my health progressively declined over the years. When I got to the end of 2017, I think it was, my health really took a turn for the worse. I was housebound more often than not. Many times confined to bed, all too often. And I started to have various pains throughout my body. And I accumulated more diagnoses. My life was, well, it was on hold. I really didn't have a life. I was stuck in the house. My son would try to get me out of the house every once in a while. It was hard. And, I think it just morphed into ME/CFS. Then I was diagnosed with epilepsy due to the stroke. What else? I had mastoiditis. I do have encephalomalacia, which, that makes sense. That's scar tissue on your brain from a brain injury. It was a very long list. And I was miserable. And I had somebody recently email me from a blog we both follow. And originally this blog was all about, chronic illnesses and stuff. She asked how I recovered. Wow, I just had another thought. Somebody asked me something. Not asked me something. Yeah, I'm losing it. Anyways, before I get into how I got better, I want to preface it by saying we are all unique. Okay, we're unique spiritually, emotionally, our personalities. We're also unique physically. So, what worked for me, I can't guarantee will work for someone else. And it is quite a life change. You'd have to make a huge life change. It's a great leap. But what I began to notice, that's on Twitter. Somebody was talking yesterday about how what has happened over the past few years, they have lost all faith in the medical industry. Before this started, a couple years ago, 2, 3 years ago, it was big to do. I had lost faith in the medical community when I was chronically ill. Constantly being told there was nothing anybody can do for me. Many times I'd go and have tests done and go see doctors. They couldn't even figure out what was wrong. The nicest doctor I was in an emergency room because I had an emergency situation. He did a bunch of tests. He goes, "It is quite obvious to me that you're ill." He says, "You don't look good, you're weak, etc." He said, but the tests are showing you're healthy. And, he was not surprised about it. I guess this is becoming all too common. I'm going to say it's my theory, but I don't think it's really a theory. I think it's true. With all the poisons over the last, I don't know, couple generations that have been put into our atmosphere, our climate, our food, our water, everything, and the lifestyle that we have been led to believe that we must live, that is very stressful, has contributed to poor health. And there are many times things doctors can't figure out. And then if you go higher up in the hierarchy of the medical community, there are those who knows what's going on, I believe, and they just don't want to share it. Because let's face it, healthy people are not profitable to the medical community. I believe most doctors, regular doctors, want to help their patients, but it's those higher up that don't want them to be helped because we're only profitable if we're sick. That being said, with the toxins everywhere around us, I feel this is why I was able to change my situation. When I was very ill one time, my youngest child, my younger son, showed me this video of a young man who lived in his Jeep and traveled all over the place, particularly out west. I never knew such a lifestyle was possible. And I told my son, I want to do that someday. I didn't know how because I was so sick and everything. And this kid, he was a young man, and here I am in my 50s. I was in my early 50s at the time. But after I saw those videos, when I started to prepare to get on the road, started selling everything. And then I became very ill. 2017, the end of 2017, but 2018 was my worst year for my health. I was really, really sick. But I would say beginning of 2019, I went into remission. And I thought, you know what? While I'm in remission, I'm doing this. Well, it just so happened my son got a job in Denver. We lived in Northeast Ohio. And he and my daughter-in-law were moving out there. And they said to me one day, why don't you follow us out there? And so we did that. And my son said, Mom, he says, why don't we help get you a travel trailer? Get you a travel trailer and a truck, and you get on the road. Now, mind you, I was still sick. Not as sick as I was in 2018, but I was still ill. But I thought, I'm going to do it. See what happens. And my son and I talked about it. And there are many places you can camp for free. So I boondocked, or what is called dry camping, on BLM land and National Forest land. You can stay at these places for up to 14 days. So my son and I, we decided if I should have a relapse and get sick, I stay at that campsite for the 2 weeks, and I rest and do my best to recover. And this worked, because I would stay and I would relax. I would start to feel better, and then I'd get on the road again. And then I started to notice with every relapse, it was less severe. And then the relapses started getting shorter and then further apart. Now, I will admit that even now, particularly if I'm out doing errands and stuff, especially all day long, the fatigue will set in, but it only lasts for that day, which is unusual when you have ME/CFS. Because ME/CFS, once you get that fatigue, you never know when it's going to be going away. It could last maybe 24 hours, but it could last days, weeks, months, a year. You don't know. It could be forever. And so they were getting shorter. Here's what I believe. I know I am a person who has always thrived on the sunshine. I think it's a vitamin D thing for me. I love sunshine. And I noticed this because I lived the first 54 years of my life in Northeast Ohio. In the summer, we have plenty of sunshine. But starting in like November, December especially, but wintertime, we had very little sun. And I would feel a difference in not just my mental health, but my physical health. So I'm traveling the West. It's sunnier out here. I eventually ended up in Arizona, and I love Arizona. And I just started sticking around the Northwest. I was just traveling around here, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada. I love it. And I just stayed here. And all this sunshine. And I think another thing is I have a 17-foot travel trailer. So there's no living space. You have your sleeping area, eating area, cooking area, and bathroom. That's it. So if you want to just kick up your feet and relax, you usually do it outside. So I was outside all the time. So I was getting plenty of sunshine, plenty of fresh, clean air, as clean as could possibly get. But let's face it, in an area where it's rural or you're out in the middle of nowhere, it's going to be cleaner than the suburbs and the city. I really believe that played a huge factor. And also, a huge one, a more relaxing lifestyle. I did not have the hustle and bustle. Well, I was too sick to work, of going to work, of obligations. Because when you're on the road, especially when you travel by yourself, you're only answering to yourself. So it's much more relaxed. So it helped my mental health. And your mental health definitely affects your physical health. And vice versa. So you're kind of going in this circle. But I think having a more relaxed lifestyle, and I've always been very attracted to nature and being out in the middle of nowhere, I believe that helped me recover. I also started to eat, anytime I could, more healthy food. Anytime I can find food that's not bought in a grocery store, non-GMO, um, organic, stuff like that. And like I said, I finally settled this summer in New Mexico, and there's farms and ranches all around me, and like here I am. I'm drinking raw milk right now. It doesn't upset my stomach like the milk from the grocery store does. I eat a lot of yogurt that I get from the same place I get this milk. And I had, when I was sick in Ohio, from the esophagus down, I had diagnoses. I was a mess. I don't have that anymore. I believe that one, just being out in nature helps. But when you discover who you truly are, and you know what kind of life you truly want, what kind of life you truly want to live, and you manifest that and you live that life, you're doing your own thing. It makes you happier and it heals you. And that's how I feel. So I can't specifically say what will work for others or even if it will. Okay, I really can't say that. I just wanted to share my story and how I got better. I was in bed most of the time, and no one could help me. No doctor, no person, no one. It was awful. Now here I am in New Mexico, and I'm building my own homestead. It's a lot of work, a lot of physical work. And all I think about is, you know, back in 2018, I couldn't lift this 2x4. I couldn't pull my garden cart. I was so weak, I couldn't do anything. And here I am doing it. I think, when I was a nomad, I would have to break camp and hitch up my trailer and stuff. And it was exhausting to me at first, especially before I really learned, I got it down pat, really learned how to do it. It was exhausting. But I gradually got used to it, and it was less and less exhausting. But because it was physical stuff, I started to build up my stamina. Now, being an ME/CFS patient, the one thing I could not stand to hear from doctors or anybody else was I needed to exercise, because nobody can understand that when you have an illness like that, especially when you're in the middle of flare-up. That's the last thing you need to hear. And all the patient is thinking is, how the hell am I supposed to do that? I can barely move. I'm so weak. I'm so fatigued. For me, it was a gradual thing, and I had to start when I was in a remission. Also, I never liked exercise, because when I think of exercise, I think of going to a gym, lifting weights, doing aerobics. The only exercise I ever liked was I used to take a Zumba class, and I loved that. But exercise does not have to be that regimented, formal thing. If you find a physical activity that you like to do, try doing that. I do not recommend, if you have something like ME/CFS, fibromyalgia, just jumping in and doing it full force. No, please don't do that. I really believe it's dangerous for people, who have those. I think the patient knows what's best. Like, if I feel I can't do this right now, you're not going to force me, because I can make matters worse for myself. I started at a point where I felt I can do it, and it was something I really wanted to do and something I was passionate about. I did not overexert myself. When I started I started becoming a nomad on May 27th, 2019. Now, back then, I could not turn the ground to prepare for a garden. I could not build a greenhouse. I couldn't do those kind of things. It would have been too much for me. But I gradually built up. So if you want to start with more physical activity, my suggestion is make sure it's something you want to do. You know, a desire of yours. And start off very, very slowly, because you truly are ill and you don't want to make matters worse. I would start out, just get out into nature. You don't have to exercise. Just go to a park or something and sit on a bench on a day that you can do that and breathe in that fresh air. Get that sunshine. I swear that's what did it for me. I don't know that it'll work for someone else, but that's what worked for me. And I think when you start focusing on the life you want, you'll manifest it. Like me, I never could have dreamed of how I could be living the life I am now. It would have seemed impossible to me. But I did focus on it a lot, and it just kind of happened. If you do that, go out on that park bench and sit there and think about what life you want. I'm not talking about doing what I'm doing, because it might be your life that you desire might be different than what I want. Focus on that. Make that happen for you somehow. Don't rush yourself. It could take years. But just the thought of it and the desire raises your vibrational frequency, which is healing to the body. I'm thinking I'd like to do that one day, which is what I would say. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I wouldn't really say much. I left it very open. I just kept saying, I want to do that someday. And then during my remissions, I would take steps towards making it happen. Not during relapses, okay? Don't listen to anybody who's going to tell you you should be doing it right now. You're the best judge. Believe me, I know. I know. People were telling me to do stuff, doctors. I'm going, no, I can't do that. Not right now, especially. You know yourself and your body better than anyone else. So listen to your inner voice, your intuition. If you have a dream, focus on that dream. That'll start the process of the healing. And then when you have a remission, do little tiny things like I did. I started selling stuff in my house on, what is that app? On one of the apps, selling apps. And every step I took gave me more hope. And that hope lifted my vibrational frequency, which healed my body. And now here I am. I am building a homestead. I bought an acre of raw land. I mean raw, nothing on it. And I'm building that. Because that was That was my dream. My desire was first to travel, live on the road freely. And I did that for 3 years. And then I found this place. Now I'm doing this. Um, just focus on what a dream of yours might be. I think that's the start of the healing. I cannot be specific for anyone else but myself, but that, I believe, is the start. And any little step you can take towards it will help. Don't rush yourself. Patience is a virtue. It could take years and years. It took a while for me. It took few years, maybe longer for you. I don't know. It all depends on your situation. I just wanted to share my story with you because I really think, the powers that be, they have messed up our ecosystem. It is not us, it's them. Either blaming it on us, but no, it's them doing it. Poisoned our food, water, everything. Our medical system sucks. Okay? We need to fight that the best way we know how, and I think is saying, no, I don't want to live like you want me to live. This is my dream, and I'm going to focus on that. That helps with the healing. It did for me. So, I think I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it a joyful one.